Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous videos we explained line command with different methods. We explained 4 methods in order to draw line, and we explained that we can use a combination between them according to the given information. In this video we will be talking about rectangles. Now a question arises before knowing this command rectangle. Can we do rectangle with line? The answer will be yes, because we know that a rectangle consists of 4 lines, and we know that this is the easiest way to draw this line, which we explained in the last method. You're going to use mouse and we call direct entry. You're going to use whether polar tracking or ortho mode. Easily you can draw horizontal vertical lines, and you'll be able to draw 4 lines to create a rectangle in AutoCAD. Now I'm not gonna go into rectangle yet, but I can just simply, let's say I'm starting somewhere. If I use ortho mode, if I activate ortho mode here, which F8, I can simply draw a rectangle. If I know the dimension, let's say I know the dimension, I can simply draw a rectangle. Without using rectangle commands, I can draw rectangle. So what do we need? That's why in rectangle, one of the methods, I'm not going to explain it. For example, let's say a rectangle, I'm drawing it here. So let's have the, okay, then we're going to put this on. So for example, I'm going to go with 30, then 15, 15, then 30, then 15. Easily I can draw rectangle. So you realize that in order to do rectangle with line, what do I need? I need the length and the width. So if I have the length and the width, we don't need to go use rectangular commands, because this is a rectangle. If you open here, there is 2, maybe sometimes the icon is like this, but you can open it. There is rectangle commands that we can use it. So it is together with the polygon. So this is one way that most of the students, they prefer to draw rectangle with line. Yeah, personally, if I have length and width, I will go for line. It's much easier than rectangle. But let's say that when we need rectangle command, in order to understand when do we need this rectangle, it's by understanding the information that we may have on the rectangle. Now we have 7 information I can be given on a rectangle. 7 information. What will be the information? Corner points. We have 4 corners. We have width, length, so this became 6, and area is the 7th information. Now combination of those, we have different methods for rectangle. We shall explain them, and then depending on the information, you'll be able to choose. Sometimes you can use simple line to draw a rectangle that it's given. So the corner points, when we say points, what do we mean again? Remember, length, width and length, they are distance, so those will be distance, a given distance. But when we say area, it's a measurements, it's basically value. When we say point, there will be 2 type of informational point. I need you to remember. Look, I said that, always when we have inputting things, the thing that we said explained in the line, online, the methods that we explained for the line, which is points, 2 points, angles, those things are repeating themselves in the other commands. So whenever we said points, we may have in 2 ways. Whether we have the coordinate, which is x and y. When someone says that I have the point, it means that you have the coordinate, or it's a known location. So even for example, you don't know the coordinate, but if you know the location, that still counts. So you say the location. If you know the location of the point, it means that you have the point. That's what does it mean. So if you know the location of 2 points of the corners, you might use it to draw a rectangle. But the 2 points must be diagonals, because you cannot draw a rectangle from this point to this point. That's going to be a line. You cannot draw from this point to this point. Look, this is not going to be a rectangle. I've seen from students, they said, okay, why we cannot draw a rectangle from this point to this point? Well, how does AutoCAD knows this direction? No, this is a line. Or from here till here, this is not a rectangle, this is a line. So those are not. The only way that is going to be, it's going to be a rectangle from diagonal, from here till here, or reverse, doesn't matter, it can be even this direction like this, or the other diagonal we have it here, or this diagonal. So you need to know 2 points on the corners. That will be enough to draw a rectangle. Now in these corner points, I don't have length, I don't have width, so it's easier to use rectangular commands in order to go and find the length and width. So we will come to some example. We have three examples, each of them based on the, 4 examples based on the given information. So point, I just explained point, maybe you have the coordination or you know the location. The location means that you know where is it. You can click on a specific location. Well, area, we know area, so area might be given as well to us to see how we're using area for that case. Some of the cases are a bit confusing, but we'll go through them. We're going to go through them one by one to see how we're going to the rectangle. Now the first one, which is the easiest way of drawing rectangle, is by having 2 points. So the methods that we said, remember we said always when we have drawings, we will talk about the information and we're talking about the methods. Now the first method that we have it here in to draw rectangle, 2 points. So the methods that we have it, the first method will be, the first method will be 2 points. Now remember, those 2 points must be diagonal. 2 points, I mean, if I have 2 diagonal points, 2 diagonal, for example, if this is P1, this is P2, let's name them so that you know. Well, let's just use the numbering, it's better. So let's say that this is corner point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. Now when we say 2 point, I mean this is first method, 2 points. It has to be 1, 3, 2, 4. So the combination that we have it, must be, I mean when you say 2 point here, it must be 1 and 3, or it should be 2 and 4. That's what we call them, 2 points. 2 points. It must be in a way that the two point, the diagonals that we have them must be the diagonals that we have them. So as we call them 2 points. 1 and 3 can be used because they are diagonal. 2 and 4 together can be used. So 1 and 4 cannot be. 1 and 3, 2 cannot be. 2 and 3 cannot be. 3 and 4 cannot be. Why? Because they represent line. In order to go for rectangle, we need 2 points. It's the first method, the easiest methods. 2 points. I mean, those 2 points must be coordinate, must be diagonals, Now, we have an example here. It says that using 2 diagonal corner points, I mean, it's 2 points, the diagonal corner points. In this example, we will use 2 of the 4 corner points to draw a rectangle. So 2 points must be opposite diagonals. We call them opposite diagonals. This one is given to me 2 information. I can draw the rectangle with these methods. So when you say 2 points, it means 2 information. But those 2 points must be diagonal, remember. Yes, when I say point, what does it mean? I have coordinate. This point, I have coordinates. So I have the points. I can draw this rectangle. I'm gonna do some example which is not in the lecture notes, but since it's the video will be recorded, so you can also understand. If you don't have coordinates, how do we able to use that as a click? Now, let's say we have a limit for this one, 40 by 30. I'm gonna draw this rectangle 3 times by the 3 methods I told you in order to manage the screen. Once I'm gonna use limit for the first time. Well, second time I'm not gonna use limit. We're gonna use the zoom with the wheel. The third one is a different method. So I'm gonna use different methods if you don't want to use limit. Remember, we said limit is optional. Optional means that if you don't like limit, don't use it. But you have to know how to manage the screen. So I have a rectangle. Let's say the first one is the easiest one. I'm going to delete this one. Let's say the first one, it's if you have limit, we're going to use limit to draw it. So let me show you without limit to see what's the problem. What is the problem without limits? Now, we have a rectangle. First coordinate 5, 5. Second coordinate 25, 15. So we're going to click on rectangle. Now rectangle is active. Remember, in order to know what's going on or which things that you must input, read the command line. Now command line always telling us what to do. Now if you read the command line, there are a lot of option there, but it says a specify first corner point. So even on the screen you can see that specify first corner point. There is or. The or means that we might change the options, but yes, we have the corner point. Specify first corner point. Remember, this corner point is what? Coordinate. I don't need hashtag. Remember, the first coordinate would be in entering it, no need for hashtag. Let's just provide both of them close to each other. To see both of them here. So we activate, sorry, let's make it a bit, just see. Yeah. Let's say we activate rectangle here, or we can click on the command here, stand for rectangle, or there is another way to activate it. So whether you can click on this one and click on rectangle, it's going to activate it, or you can just write REC, stand for rectangle, and hit enter. It's two ways to activate it. It says a specify first corner point. Look, I haven't used limit, yes, I haven't even used zoom. So I'm going to show you the problem that most of the students facing it because they don't know how to set up the screen. Look, I haven't used zoom, I haven't used limit. Let's see what's the problem. Well, I clicked on rectangle. It tells me that provide specify first corner point. Doesn't matter which point you're going to go. You can go for 5, 5 or 25, 15. Let me go with 5, 5. 5, 5. Without hashtag because it's the first point. You hit enter. Then it says what? Specify other corner point. Look, specify other corner point. That means it's asking us the other corner, which is 25, 15. That 25, 15 is what? It's coordinate. We have to use hashtag the way that we did in line. So shift number 3. It's in English. English keyboard. Then I'm going to write 25, 15. Hit enter. I cannot see anything on the screen. It is drawn, and I'm sure that it's drawn, but I cannot see anything on the screen. The problem is what? Well, I didn't use limit, and I didn't use zoom. So we have to manage it. Yeah? So if you don't want to use limit, you have to know how to manage the screen in order for your drawing. Now there is a way I can do it. I can Z and go for E, extend. E stand for extend. Zoom extend is gonna bring whatever you draw to the screen. So if I hit enter, it's gonna bring directly to look the window. The rectangle is full of the window. So I can use the wheel. I can just zoom out. Yeah, this is the rectangle we have it, the rectangle that we have it. If you want to check to see, look, how do I know I haven't made any mistake? Yes, how do I know it? We said we check the coordinate. We're gonna click on the line. We activate line. Look, I activated line. Then I can come over this point. When I stop over, like, just don't click, just hover the mouse over it, you can see 5, 5. I want to check this one. Is it really 25? Look, I have a mistake. It's 30, 20, yes, 30, 20. Even though I add 25, 15. Why? Because the hashtag, it was not written. I saw that it was not written, so I realized that there is something wrong. Because I didn't write the hashtag, so I didn't take it wrong. It didn't take it correctly. So I know this is wrong. Yes, it is wrong. So I can simply delete it. I'll select and delete. I can repeat rectangle. Now when I'm drawing it, I can see the first 5,5, hit enter, then hashtag. Look, I remember the previous one, the hashtag didn't appear on the screen. Now I can see the hashtag. So sometimes you made mistake, and I didn't even realize when I entered the coordinate, then I realized that the hashtag was not there. But it's okay. Why? Because we can check. So we have 25, 15, hit enter. This is the rectangle. Let's check. I can simply click on the line. It's the easiest way. We have other methods, but for you now, I can go over this point. Just go over the point. Don't click. You say 25, 15. Yes, this is the coordinate. This point is 5, 5. Look, do I need limit? No. Why? Because I could zoom the drawing to the screen and then use the wheel. Look, this is wheel I'm using it. Zoom out and zoom in. This is the wheel I'm using it. Without even using limit, we can do it. But what is the point of limit? Let's say when you open it, when we do limits, it's basically whenever we're drawing will appear on the screen without any problem of the zooming in and out. So limits will ask me first, let's say 0, it's given 0, 0 for the first lower left corner, and the upper right corner is 40, 30. As I said that for all the drawings, I'm providing this in the exam. When we have something, I'm providing limits so that you'll be able to, until you'll get used to zooming with the wheel and the zoom command. Then we said that it's still, we have to do some process. We did the limit, then we have to write Z, enter stand for Z, zoom, A for all, zoom all. It's gonna bring the limit to the screen. Now if I start rectangle, it will ask me specify first corner. I can write 5, 5, hit enter. Look, I can see it on the screen. And this is 5, 5. This is the 0.55 here. Then hashtag. Why hashtag? Because 25, 15 is absolute coordinate. It's absolute coordinate. So we'll write hashtag 25, 15. When I hit enter, I can see the shape in the drawing area. That's the idea of limit. Without even using, look, I didn't use the wheel. I didn't touch the wheel. I didn't use, because when the process of limit and zoom, I set the limit and I use zoom all, which is written here. Look, the steps are written here. The steps are written here to see that this is the step of, this is the step. In order to do this one. The other way to do it, without using zoom extend, there is another way to do it. There is another way. Let me show you this one as well. Let's say we activate the rectangle. We're writing 5, 5. We hit enter. Well, let's say we're far away. It's somewhere like this. Let me even make it further. To have a clear understanding. Look, I knew of this method using it. It's okay. The idea is to be able to see what you draw. So I'm writing 5, 5. Now, how do I zoom with the wheel? I'm not using zoom extend, I'm not using zoom all, I'm not using limit. So the third method is using the wheel, yes? And using the cursor. Look, I know 5, 5, it's closer to the origin. Yeah, this is the origin. So I'm bringing the cursor to the origin like this, zoom, and to that side, one to the other side, one to the other side. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna lose this origin. So one to one side and the other one like this until I'll bring it close. Look, now read on the screen. For example, 16, 9. I mean, it's okay. Yes, I can just zoom a bit out. I can see the rectangle on the screen. And is it enough? Is it enough? I can read the values. You can see it here, 17.0768. It tells me that from here, for example, from here till here, it's 17. I mean, it's okay for us, yes? I mean, our rectangle will be something in this dimension. I mean, 15, 25 can be seen. I mean, it's okay because you have the zoom in your hand. Now, even if it is come like this, even if your rectangle come like this, you can just simply zoom out. If maybe your rectangle will come like this, you can zoom in because you're in an area that you can zoom with the wheel to manage it exactly the way that you want. So I can type again. Look, the process is still the same for the rectangle. Hashtag for the second coordinate 25,15. Hit enter. Well, I can use the wheel. Press the wheel will be hand. I can adjust it to the middle and then zoom. Okay, this is the rectangle in the middle of the screen if I wanted to see it in a bigger size. Remember, the dimension is still the same. I mean, this coordinate is still the same, this coordinate is the same, but we can just see it bigger in the screen. So I did 3 methods. The first one without zoom, without limits. I drew the rectangle blindly, then I used zoom extend, which is in here, which is within the list here. Zoom extend, I use that one. I drew the things, I drew something, then I used zoom extend. Second method, I used limits with zoom all. Third method, I didn't use limits, I didn't use zoom commands, I just used the wheel. I start with the first point, rectangle 5, 5, then I use the wheel to zoom in, zoom out until I adjust the screen. Which one you prefer? Go for it. Why? Because the idea is to see what you're drawing. Do not draw blindly. The first method was not good. Yes, I drew something I didn't even see it. So most of the students, they complain that, sir, we're drawing but nothing is showing on the screen. If you're one of them, remember this, because you don't know how to set up the screen for your drawing. So if you are the one that you don't know still how to use this wheel to zoom in, or you don't know how to deal with this zoom extend or zoom all, which I explained in the first videos, if you don't know it, go for limits. Go for these 5 steps that we have it for limits. Go for this 5 step in order to not have any problem visually, because I don't want you to blindly draw things for me. No, I want you to see what you're drawing. So that's why it's important to manage this screen. As I told you that all of these things will keep repeating. Why? Because when we're drawing, always the procedure will be happen. By the way, for units, most of the example that they have them, they're unitless. Because the idea for me, the units, yeah, you can simply set the units whenever you come into the drawings. You can simply write UN, hit enter, and you can set up the units if it is given. But if it's not given, it means that you leave it the way it is, as default, whatever it is accepting it in this manner. Most of the time we have to select it. If it's a project, something that dimension, most of the time will be given. But the one that inside the lecture note that I have them here, I made them without units. The idea is just to teach the procedure here. Now, we're gonna make another video for the second methods. Well, before going to the second method, let me do another example here. Let's say that, let me just do something. Let's say we don't have this. Let's say we don't have this one. Let's say we don't have it. Let's say we don't have this coordinate here. We don't have this one. But what do we have instead? We have a line. Which is given to us. I mean, it will be a revision for line as well. Let's say we have a line which basically let's make it horizontal. Let's say we have a line which is like this. This line, we have a coordinate for this line here. We have the coordinate for this line. Let's say the coordinate for this line will be So I'm going for 35, 15, I mean anything, let's say 35, 20. This is the coordinate for this point, and the length of this line, let's say to be 10. The length of the line to be 10. Now, we don't have this coordinate here. Let's say we don't have this coordinate. I'm just completely deleting this coordinate here. This coordinate here, I don't have it. Now, we will do two things. One for the line. The line starts with 35, 20, and I can draw 10. Then I have to draw the rectangle. Why? Because this point is the corner point. Do I know the coordinate? No, I don't know it. I don't know the coordinate. So I cannot draw the rectangle. I cannot draw the rectangle unless I have the line. Why? Because if I draw the line, I know this point. I know this point, and I have another point, so 2 points will be enough to draw this rectangle. For the line, it's okay because I have this point, I have the length, I can draw this line. After drawing the line, I can draw the rectangle. So I'm going to show it to you now. One point is coordinate, the other point it's known. It's known point. We don't have coordinate, but we know it. So first we're going to draw this line 35, 20 by 10. So we come back to AutoCAD. So I'm going to delete this. So we have a line. The limit is basically okay here. The limit will be okay. So I'm going to start with 35, 20, the coordinate for that line. Then the ortho mode is on, so I can draw a horizontal line 10. I'm pressing escape. That's the line I have it. Now I can draw the rectangle. Why? I'll click on the rectangle. By the way, which method I used for line here? I used the last method, which is direct entry. But still, I started with what? With a coordinate. Remember, please, if you have coordinate, you have to start with those points. If you have coordinates, you have to start. You have to put them within your input. Why? Because coordinates, remember, they're displaying what? The location of that object. If you're dealing with the plan of the city, everywhere is located according to GPS, yes? So those coordinates are important. If you draw something without coordinate, for example, let's say that the house is in Gonyeli, but if you don't use the coordinate, you will draw it in Haspola, or you draw it in Hamidkoy. So the point is, you have to pay attention to coordinates, especially when you're dealing with map. If the drawing that you have them relate them to map or geological things, so you have to pay attention to the coordinate. I have coordinate, first coordinate 35, 20 for the line. Then I want to draw, let's say maybe like this. I want to do a horizontal one. Please pay attention here. If you don't see the green line, do not type anything. It will not be horizontal. You have to activate one of these two. We said polar tracking or ortho mode. Any of them you activated will help you to draw horizontal, vertical. Polar tracking, it will not be directly horizontal. You have to come close to horizontal, then you will see the green line, then you can type the length of the line. However, ortho mode, we said it's only horizontal, vertical. So I will draw in this manner. I will bring the mouse to this side and I will just type 10, which is the length of the line. Hit enter, press escape, you have a line. This coordinate is 30, 20, and the length is 10. Now I can draw the rectangle. I'll click on the rectangle. Now it will ask me specify first corner. I will go for 5,5. Why? Because that coordinate, it's important. I can start with the other one. It's okay. Hit enter. Now for the second point, I don't have coordinate, yes? Which is the easiest one. I can just simply bring the mouse close to this point. If I don't see again the green square, do not click. We said who is responsible for that green square? Object snap. Let it to be on. By default, the things that we need it for now, it's there. Do not touch those things inside it. Do not touch the thing inside. I will come back to them in detail. We'll explain them when to activate them. By default, there are some activated. They are ticked. Leave them the way they are for now. Do not touch them, because if you touch anything, will mix your things and you will struggle while drawing. So look, I'm not activating all of them. So we're gonna come back to them, which one you can activate them, or at least the one that I activate them, we can be beneficial. Sometimes we have to activate something more. Sometimes we will even deactivate those. For example, sometimes I don't need those when we deactivate them. So please do not go inside it, just make sure it's on. Why on? Because if I want to click at that point, when I come close to it, I can see this green square, then this is the second point for the rectangle. If I click directly, the rectangle will be deactivated. Nothing is active. This is another way to do it. Can I do this in a different way for the rectangle? Yes. I can click on the rectangle. For the first point, I can click here. For the second point, I can use hashtag. Look, I have to use hashtag because why? I'm sending AutoCAD to a coordinate, and that coordinate is absolute coordinate. It's absolute coordinate, so we need hashtag. We write 5, 5 because absolute coordinate measured from origin. Hit enter. This coordinate measured from origin 5 by 5 because of the hashtag. So what will happen if I don't use the hashtag? Let's repeat this one. Let's delete. I'm gonna click on the rectangle. Let's say I start with this point here, If I can 5 without hashtag, 5, 5, what will happen? Look what happens. Because I didn't tell AutoCAD this is the absolute coordinate. It drew something else for me. So you're facing, look, if I don't see what I'm doing, I don't know if I made a mistake. Like there's a mistake, yes? Control Z, I have to repeat it. Rectangle, click at that point here, first point. For the second point, because it's absolute coordinate, we need hashtag. The hashtag, AutoCAD will understand that. I have to measure the distance that the user is giving it to me based on the origin. So when I say 5, 5, AutoCAD understand that it's going to measure 5 in the X direction, 5 in the Y direction, and that will be the point that will be taken as the second or the other corner for the rectangle. Hit enter, you get the same way it's supposed to be. That is. Remember, when you say 2 points, you may have directly click, or you may have coordinate. So the easiest case, if I have another line, let's say I have another line here, Can I draw a rectangle between them? Yes, easy, without even, for example, I want to draw a rectangle, one corner point here, I will click here, the other corner point here, I'll click here, without even inputting anything. Why? Because I had the two corners. I knew exactly where they are. This is when we said that, when we have point, it means two things. Whether we have the coordinate or we know the location. So we knew the location of this rectangle. It will be one corner will be here. One corner will be here, the other corner will be here. So those 2 points are known location. I can just simply click there, it will draw the rectangle for me. This is for the first methods. We're going to create another video for the second methods and another video for the third methods. Thanks for watching.